Welcome again to Living Room Requests.
That's Patricia Hammond.
That's Matt Redman.
And if you're interested in Schubert, let's say Patsy Cline, and a little bit of popular songs from the 1920s, you should stay tuned.
Tuned. So the first request is for Jane, who has asked for Heidenröslein, and she said Schubert's Heidenröslein, which I really love because there is more than one. There's a Lehar one. There's a few. I think there's a few. There's definitely a Lehar one. Anyway, so thank you, Jane. This is very sweet. It's Goethe. I have to make a confession. I'm not a fan of Dietrich Fischer-Dieskau, and I know that's like saying, that's apostasy in some circles. But there was a very, very elderly lady whom I really, really respected and loved, and she says, I don't like him. He sang Heidenröslein like it was a military song, and it is romantic. It is Goethe, and I agree. And I find it very interesting. It's three little sections. A boy sees a beautiful rose in a bush, and he decides that he loves it so much that he's going to pick it. And the rose says, if you pick me, I'll stick you. I'll prick you. And he picks it. He gets stuck. And everybody's pain all around, basically. And
it's a bit like when they have a global pandemic and people say, if you follow the guidance, we'd hope you'd be protected. And then they don't, and then they get it.
Anyway, so here's Heidenröslein for Jane.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, what's the key?
The key is this one.
Ah, that's what I thought it was. Good. Sah ein Knab ein Röslein stehen, Röslein auf der Heiden, war so jung und morgenschön, lief schnell, es nah zu sehen, saß mit vielen Freuden. Röslein, Röslein, Röslein rot, Röslein auf der Heiden. Sprach, ich spreche dich, Röslein auf der Heide. Röslein sprach, ich steche dich, dass du ewig denkst an mich, und ich will's nicht leiden. Röslein, Röslein, Röslein rot, Röslein auf der Heide. Und der wilde Knabe brach's Röslein auf der Heiden. Röslein wehrte sich und stach, half ihm doch kein Weh und ach, musste es eben leiden. Röslein, Röslein, Röslein rot, Röslein auf der Heide. Love it. Different cultures have different ways of dealing with these things. I once read an essay. I went through a phase of reading essays. I didn't want to read novels or poetry, so I just read essays for a while, just for the fun of it. When I was in my mid-20s. Anyway, and I encountered this wonderful essay where it talked about the culture of picking roses and saying that some cultures, the ultimate thing is to pick the rose and then it dies. Mm-hmm. And then there's the Japan, and I think that was sort of Western, and then they said, and then there's the Eastern culture, which you admire it, but you do not pick it. You leave it growing. And then they named a third culture, which I forget, where there are several instances of poems where the person, or maybe one instance, I don't know, uproots it and transplants it into their own garden. So neither, but kind of both.
And the contemporary Western culture regarding roses, of course, is to take them and cut them in the chemicals so that they apparently stay alive for like 300. The ones where they're on.
Oh wow!
See them
No,
on
this
the
is
internet.
Something different. Wow.
That's what people do now. Now, as promised, if you saw in the introduction, we got a request for what? From whom to who?
This is from Joe for Edmund's birthday, and Edmund lives in Aarhus in Denmark, and he's a
Amazing.
fan of Patsy Cline.
Good for him.
And so Joe said, "Sing any Patsy Cline song," and I don't have any. I don't know any. So that was any. So there was nothing to sort of dictate one or another. But we thought this one was really cute and sweet, and it's called "I Love You, Honey." And Matt wants me to play some percussion.
Indeed. Here we are.
Anyway, happy birthday to Edmund. Down in Dallas, near the palace, I met a boy who was so cute. I loved his hugging, I loved his kissing, as we sat in his little red coupe. He said, "Tell me confidentially, how much do you love me?" Well, I thought a while and then I smiled, and this is what I told him, don't you see? I love you, honey, love your money, I love your automobile, I love you, baby, I don't mean maybe, you're the sweetest thing on wheels, I love your kisses, I wouldn't miss it, no matter how I feel, I love you, honey, I love your money, but most of all, I love your automobile. Down in Dallas,
Down in
near
Dallas,
the palace,
near the palace,
I met a boy who was so cute.
so cute.
I loved his hugging,
Loved his hugging,
loved his kissing,
loved his kissing,
as we
sat in his little red coupe.
He said, "Tell me confidentially, how much do you love me?" Well, I thought a while and then I smiled, and this is what I told him, don't you see? I love you, honey.
I love you, honey.
I love your money.
I love your money.
I
love your automobile.
I love you, baby.
I love you, baby.
I don't mean maybe.
Don't mean maybe.
You're the sweetest thing on wheels. I love your kisses.
I love your kisses.
I wouldn't miss
I won't miss it. No matter how I feel.
I love you, honey. I love your money. I love your automobile. Yeah, these things. I don't know.
Thanks for that request, Joe.
Thank you very much.
I do hope Edmund gets to see this.
It's so funny.
And if he has a YouTube account, which is a Google account, he can comment on the video below.
do.
And while he's there, just like everyone else who's watching this who's not already, they can click subscribe, which is right down here. They can also press their thumbs up and like the video and find out loads of other stuff that we have linked below in the video description. Is that true or false?
That's true,
Good.
but no obligation to do nothing.
Well, they know that. But
Nothing.
if you don't tell them, they don't even know it's an option.
Oh, well.
Okay, I'll prepare myself.
I love you, honey. I love your money. Well, it's so funny, when people request specific songs, then we'd have no discussion about it. Basically, that's the song
true,
that's
yeah.
that's the song, that's no discussion. We're doing that song. But when you say any Patsy Cline, you should have seen the correspondence between us two. Well, we could do this one. Well, we could do that one. She did. For someone who was tragically cut down in her years, she was 31
Yeah,
in the
pretty
car
much,
in
yeah.
the plane accident, a plane crash. Lot of songs she recorded. Mind you, if you record things.
She went down in a plane in Tennessee, as many people probably know, and included in that aircraft was also Cowboy Copas, who wrote Tennessee Waltz, which was a hit for her.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, sad. Anyway,
Yeah.
carry on.
Now, this is a request for John. John has asked for this rather wonderful. It reminds me of Billy Mayerl, who was kind of the, I guess you could say, the English Gershwin in a way. Kind of quirky, late 20s. Matt wants to do this in the key it is written in, which is a bit higher than you might then successive generations of popular song with microphones. This is 1929. Very, very few places had microphones.
So you definitely have to
available,
think more sort of operetta than...
It's kind of more like opera. Yeah.
Than Ella Fitzgerald.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although some of her very early
When
records...
you use that sanding, it gets dust.
When she's her very early record, she sings a darn sight higher than she did in the 1950s.
I have a letter. From Dame Vera Lynn because I asked her about... I wrote her a couple of times asking her about amplification, and she said that when she went from the 20s and the early 30s to later, she had all of her keys brought right down because of microphones.
A lot of work if you're talking arrangements for bands and many songs.
Yeah.
Luckily we're just two of us, and I can improvise and just...
Yes, he does it. He got all
things.
these keys. Yeah, any key. That's why he has so many bass strings on his contra guitar. When we went to Toronto, we had one gig that was amplified and one that was non-amplified, and in this huge place.
But that sort of sums up our life.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
But the manager, do you remember the manager? And I said, I'm going to need to have higher keys for the bigger... And he said, I've never heard of any singer needing more than one key for the same week's gigs. And I said, have you known any singer to do a non-amplified gig and an amplified one in the same week? And he went, well, no. I went, well, there you go. I'm so obnoxious. Right, this is called Or What Have You.
Unfortunately, there's a divide in the world whereby people, this whole if it's classical, it's this, and if it's not, it's not. And,
yes.
And that just creates so many barriers and walls and rules.
There's music.
Did you say
and
who it's
acoustic.
by? Fantastic composer called Maurice Hamilton.
Which we can find nothing about. So if you know anything about Maurice Hamilton...
We haven't actually looked properly. We've searched
true.
on Google. We're both a lot more in-depth researchers than that.
Yes, some people will call that research.
So...
1929.
Take that back. We haven't.
Okay.
But we hope to find out more about him.
Maurice Hamilton. Well, it's a wonderful, quirky song. It's great.
For John. Thank you, John.
Yes. June brings the roses that seem to say, come on, be gay, the summer's coming. It's just the season when my heart begins a-humming. Time to start making hay. That is the reason I sit and dream and watch the stars that shine above me. But still it's not much fun when there's only one. I want a place to spoon, a man, a moon, or what have you. I walk among the trees, a hand to squeeze, or what have you. I'm a romantic, whimsical thing, bothered by thoughts of spring. Little birds cooing make me long for a wooing. I want a rendezvous, a kiss or two, or what have you. I like to own a part of some nice person's heart. Someone's arms always near, someone's voice to call me dear. I want to find romance and love, or what have you. A wedding case to slice, a ring and brace, or what have you. A cozy bungalow, a thrill, a glow, what have you. Little green garden, little white gate, where a girl loves to wait, watching and yearning for someone's returning, and neighbors dropping in for tea or gin, or what have you. adorable song. Thank
sweet
you
song.
very much to John and to Pete, who sent us the music. Pete's a sheet music collector
course,
and
Pete.
Kit Baker of
You'll
cakes.
all know Pete from the Christmas special episode where he sent a rather magnificently, intensely flavoured, baked in vintage or antique, I don't
Antique
know,
tin.
antique tin, an antique cake from
Recipe.
his grandmother. So that was Living Room Requests, and we continue to invite any request. Also in that which
Designation?
episode was it where we said something like it was the Christmas episode. It's the middle section of When You Wish Upon a Star, asking about whatever request it may be.
No request is too extreme.
So maybe we should get a new theme tune instead of da da do. It should go no request is too extreme. Da 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 dee da.
That's inviting danger, I think.
Right, we'll see you on the next one.
See you in the next one.